thought Elliot did a great job asking outstanding questions. And, Sam Mitchell has matured as a coach, Chuck. And a lot of that, it's not X's and O's. Everybody has a grasp of X's and O's. It's understanding, your role, how you deal with the players, and how you deal with the media. It's a very engaging job. And I think Sam Mitchell has done an outstanding job in terms of his maturity over the years in dealing with all that.
And he's learned, and he would be the first to admit he has matured as a coach. On the court, off the court, relationships, dealing with a lot of issues that he faced.
And you got to look at, I think, Wayne Embry. Brian Colangelo, Maurizio Gherardini have been a very, very positive influence on Sam Mitchell, the all-time winningest Raptor coach at this point, 124 wins. Moved ahead of Lenny Wilkins earlier this season.
And you touched on something, Leo. It helps. You got to have players to win. You can talk about the second coming of Red Auerbach and all these great coaches. It comes down to players. You have got to have the talent, and that's what Colangelo and Gherardini, Masai Ujiri, the global scout now for the Raptors, has provided.
But you can talk about that all you want, Chuck. And Sam Mitchell, to his credit, didn't complain about the talent he had. He dealt with it the best way he could. He was with a J. But he did want more talent, and once he got the talent, he coached it, and they won. And that's the key. You can have the talent, and you may not produce. He's produced.
Raptors will try and continue to produce here in the third quarter, where they are shooting 51%. Bosch with 11 points in the ball game, and the mid-range jumper, and he draws the foul from Ilgauskas and will shoot 2. For the Raptors as a team are 6 of 13. Bosch going to the line for number 3 and 4 appearances at the stripe.
Chuck, one more point on Sam that I remember Magic Johnson, when we tried to coach in the NBA, and Larry Bird had a comment about why it didn't work out. He said he thought Magic thought he was the best player on the floor, and that never worked out. And you notice one of the things Sam said in the interview, that he's handling a few things. He's less confrontational. And what is that? That's the maturity as a coach, because as a player, he was very confrontational. Sam Mitchell was the kind of guy that would get in your face. He'd make your life, a misery on the floor, because that's the way he survived in the NBA. But he realized he can't do it the same way as a coach. And again, that's just a guy that wants to be a great coach, a guy that learns the right way to do it.
And you could say that across the board, Leo, for superstar players, which Mitchell was not. He's a hard-working blue-collar player. Superstar players have a very tough time coaching because their expectation level is so high. And a lot of these players are workmanlike players, but they just don't have the abilities that a superstar had as he takes it over to the coaching profession. As it's Cavalier basketball.
So what are you saying, that I'm coaching because I have no expectations?
No, you weren't a superstar. 47-36. As Larry Hughes had the ball jarred out of his hands with 14 on the clock. LeBron James, we talk about his offense. What about his defense?
I always found that just hanging on to somebody is a great way of stopping him, Chuck.
How come that isn't a foul, Leo?
Officials obviously didn't see it. There's only 3 of them out there.
One here, really.
Just kidding.
Calderon.
Calderon's been quiet offensively, just 4 points in this game, but we've been talking about the assists. He's doing a great job of getting everybody else involved in the game.
LeBron James with 9 points, 5 boards, 4 assists.
I like what Sam Mitchell did in the adjustment, putting Parker on LeBron James. And what Sam Mitchell said was that Parker's a great team defensive guy, something Mike Brown can relate to. He will force LeBron James to do everything according to what the team has planned in dealing with it.
The Raptors, Leo, when they get the ball foul line in, Cleveland just cannot prevent that ball from going in.
Well, Raptors have a quickness advantage at most positions, and they're doing a great job of taking advantage of it.
Jamario Moon almost came up with his 4th block, and then Bargnani got a piece of that. Here's LeBron James going to the rack, counting the foul. And Andrea's turning over and looking at Sam Mitchell saying, you got to be kidding me.
Well, that's a tough play, and LeBron just turned over and smiled at Sam Mitchell saying, come on. He is just so strong, taking his time, waiting. And there's got to be an opportunity here. Here, watch. I'll go in and goes right at Bargnani. And you know what he did, Chuck? He looked down. He saw Bargnani was in the restricted area. And he just went right at him. Went right at his body. And Andrea has to be a little bit more aggressive. Step out and try to get to LeBron as he saw him coming in.
So James now with 12. And Parker is fouled out in front by Sasha Pavlovich. Parker is 2 rebounds away from his first NBA double-double. He's got 12 points, 8 boards, and 3 assists. No fouls in 20 minutes.
An outstanding job on LeBron, as you pointed out, defensive.
Calderon, left unattended. Got it! This Cleveland defense.
Mike Brown just shaking his head. He's going, this is not what we worked on, fellas. It's just not the way we planned our defense to be executed.
Raptors have not missed a shot in 3 attempts here in the third. It's a wild